And we are live. Hey, it's Wei from the Six Figure Academy. Welcome to another Happy Snack at Noon. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show. The Six Figure Academy, of course, is where we help increase your money flow, optimize your mindset, and more importantly, create lifestyle mastery, especially around the area of money, but more importantly, happiness. I keep saying that, but that's why this is the happy snack at noon, so that these little snacks that you take in can create hopefully a little happiness for the week, if not your life. Now, today's topic, I have this written down here, is how you view happiness helps you create your happiness. So how you view your happiness creates your happiness. I want you to kind of like digest that for a little bit. Okay. Because a lot of what makes our world the way it is based on how we choose to perceive the things that happen around us in our world. And so thus, when it comes to happiness, when it comes to success even, however you define the world to be is going to dictate how you choose to perceive the world, which then ultimately results in the world that you create. I often say this, that some of the saddest things about what happens when someone passes away, besides the fact that they actually are physically gone from this world, from this dimension, if you will, is that when that person leaves this planet, leaves this world, leaves this lifetime, a whole entire world leaves with them. That is actually the saddest part, because no two human beings will live, view, and approach life like anybody else. The way you lived your life, the way you grew up, even if you had siblings, was completely different. Now, it might be similar in terms of the experiences that you had, but your choice and how you perceive those experiences and what you learned from those experiences are distinctly different from anybody else. And so thus, when we are growing up and we're learning about these things about life, about what it means to be happy, what it means to be successful, ultimately starts to apply filters in how we navigate through life to give us an opportunity on how to interpret things. Now, the beautiful thing about this is when you are able to understand that, it gives us an ability to be able to take those filters off. And ironically, when we first came into this world, we viewed the world pretty objectively. Before the world touched us, before anybody taught us anything, we viewed everything in awe as a child. Everything was brand new. Everything was like, what is that? What is that? Why is that? And the irony of it all is, for us to be successful in life or to achieve a level of success and happiness that is uniquely ours, it's about taking those filters off of what we were taught and being willing to look at things objectively again, but with an adult mind, with a developed mind, with a mind that is able to then discern between what works for us and what doesn't work for us. See, the challenge as an infant when we're first born, we can't yet discern what is safe for us and what's not. Now, that safety, of course, can be all perspective and it could all be relative. But what I mean is physical safety, right? Mortal danger. But apart from that, there's nothing else really that is. And what creates danger that for us that isn't mortal danger, isn't physical danger that can literally take our life away, is a perceived challenge. So when we are not happy, it is ultimately comes from our choice of perception of what has happened that then has us determining and choosing a perception to say that, no, I am not happy. Similarly, when we see something and two people can experience the same thing, and how we view it is going to determine whether or not we're happy about it. The choice that we have to interpret, our choice of interpretation of something that has happened, is actually going to be critical in as to whether or not we are happy about it. And that's why it's possible to be in the car with the same person experiencing one thing, and one person has complete road rage and the other person does not. Similarly, two people can look at the same movie, watch the same movie, and one can have an exhilarating, amazing, happy experience, and the other may be like, meh, that was okay. Why? Because it's all down to the perception choice, the interpretation of events that happened. we experience this all the time, and we don't realize just how powerful it is when we are able to take ownership of the choices of perception. So how we choose to view happiness, or how we choose to understand and define what happiness is, literally helps put the filters on in our world to ultimately create happiness for ourselves. So when someone says, I am not happy, and if they choose to be in an empowered state and they understand the concept of what I'm talking about here, they can be masterful at saying, first and foremost, I am choosing and making decisions that is ultimately creating the state of unhappiness. And if I have a clear definition of happiness, then that means that I can make choices to create a happy life. And those filters, how we choose to filter the stuff that's happening around us in our life and in our world, is what's going to ultimately determine whether or not we have a happy life. Something to think about. Now, is this something that's easy to do? No, the concept is simple. Choose your perception, choose your interpretation of things, and that will ultimately result in whether or not you're happy or unhappy. You're successful or unsuccessful, right? Those who deem themselves unsuccessful is because they're comparing themselves and choosing particular perception or interpretation of what's around us, right? Those who perceive themselves as not being attractive are comparing themselves to a different standard. But the beautiful thing about human beings is that once they release themselves of those contrast comparisons, these belief systems, the narratives, the rhetoric, the filters, we can ultimately find beauty, love, success, happiness in anything and everything. Some of the most impoverished countries in the world actually are homes for some of the happiest people in the world. America, U.S., can be arguably one of the most abundant and one of the most prosperous countries in the world, and yet we don't rank anywhere near the top 10 of the happiest countries in the world. Why is that? Because we bought into a narrative that success equals happiness, financial wealth equals happiness, when in fact, those two have nothing to do with each other. And we've bought into a definition of success that requires a capitalistic endeavor or a capitalistic gain or capitalistic comparison to what success is. And this is why you see a difference in people who are well-traveled and people who have never left their hometown. You get to see a different perspective. You get to acquire new filters for yourself and how you choose to use those filters for your life. You take two photographers who uses the same camera, same lens, but they have different filters that I can put on top of the lens, and they go shoot the same scenery, and you get vastly different results. Why? Because depending on the type of filter you put on that lens, you'll get a completely different effect, a completely different experience, and ultimately a completely different result. Our worlds are no different. If you want to happy, then the simple choice is to choose. And now when I say simple, like I was saying earlier, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy. Let's not confuse simple with easy. Simple, it means the mechanism of how it's done is simple. The mechanism of how these results that you want to create is simple. The difficulty, the challenge is, how do we then extricate ourselves from this old paradigm of thinking and take this happy snack and say, I'm going to start living this way. I'm going to start taking ownership of all my undesirable states of existence and saying, I'm at some level or at the ultimate and the master of the choices that I make so that I can have that. And if you want to go even deeper, if you're not happy, then there's a part of you that's choosing to do that or making the choices of interpretation and perception so that it can serve a purpose. A lot of times when people are choosing to be unhappy, it's because they serve a deeper belief that they don't deserve to be happy. Or there's some part of them that in order for to be happy, you have to achieve a certain type of belief result or some kind of paradigm of existence. And that's what's creating the unhappiness. It's not because anybody is causing it. It's not because political, social, economics, or people are causing it. It's because your interpretation, your perception of what is happening to you or around you or in you is the reason for you to ultimately be unhappy. The most blissfully happy people in the world are the ones who have their perception and interpretations in check and know that they can always challenge how they're choosing to see things, view things, and interpret things so that they can get a more desirable result. And whatever that result that you want, if what you're doing right now in life and how you're living life and what you're experiencing is not what you desire, then the first place to look and the most reliable place to look is within you and what filters you have on and how you're viewing things in life that is ultimately leading you to that undesirable state of existence. Something to think about. Okay, I think this could be one of the most powerful happy snacks that we have delivered to date here at the Six Figure Academy. And if you have any questions about that, because I know as simple as it is, it's not the easiest things to do. And where we can provide support through the comments below is by you sharing what some of the challenges you are encountering by applying this simple approach or technique to completely shift you to a greater state of happiness and success in life and business and anything else that you're doing. So put the comments below. If you liked this happy snack, go ahead and hit the like button. That's great feedback. We pay attention to all of that. If you don't like it, you know what to do. Put the thumbs down and say no. But remember to subscribe and hit the notification so that way you can always get notified of when there's another happy snack coming down the pipe every single week. If you have an idea for a happy snack that you would love for me to talk about, go ahead and put that in the comments below as well, or reach out through all of our different channels to see if there's a way for you to get that information to us or to me, and then we will make that happen. Other than that, have a fantastic rest of the week. Enjoy applying the principles of the happy snack. I challenge you to do that this week and challenge every view or perception or filter that you have on things that are happening in your life and see if you can start to create a shift so that an end result is better than what you are not liking now. So if you want to know how to have a happier life, change the way you view the world around you to create a happier life. Okay, on that, I'll see you next week for the next happy snack. See ya. Bye.